Hello, hello, and welcome back to the City of English, the place where English stops feeling like a subject in a textbook and starts feeling like a conversation with a friend. If this is your first time here, I'm Anna.
And I'm Jason. And together, every single episode, we take one real problem that English learners face, something that trips people up in daily conversations, and we break it down until it's simple, natural, and honestly, a little bit fun.
We're not here to lecture you. We're not going to throw grammar rules at you and disappear. We're going to talk with you, like we're sitting in the same room, sharing coffee, and just figuring English out together.
So if you've ever frozen in the middle of a sentence because you weren't sure whether to say did, was, or were, today's episode is going to feel like a weight coming off your shoulders.
Yes, because trust me, this is one of the most common mistakes learners make, no matter where they're from, no matter what their first language is. It happens to almost everyone.
So grab your coffee, your tea, your headphones, whatever you've got, and let's get into it.
Let's build your English one honest conversation at a time. Welcome to the City of English.
Okay, Anna, let's start with something real. How many times have you heard someone say, "Did you went to the party?"
Oh, so many times. And honestly, I used to make similar mistakes myself when I was younger, mixing tenses when I was nervous or speaking fast.
Right, and that's exactly why we're talking about this today. Did, was, and were are three of the most used words in English conversation. You literally cannot have a normal conversation about your day, your weekend, your job, your past, without using at least one of them.
Exactly. And the tricky part is they all sort of point to the past, but they work completely differently. People mix them up because in many languages, past tense doesn't work the same way English does.
Right. In English, we don't just add one ending to a verb and call it done. We have helping words, we have to-be verbs, we have irregular verbs. It's a system, but once you understand the logic behind the system, it becomes almost automatic.
That's the goal for today. By the end of this episode, you won't be translating in your head anymore. You'll just feel which one is correct.
Let's start with the basics and build up from there.
So let's talk about was and were first, because honestly, these are the easier ones once you see the pattern.
Right. Was and were are both past forms of the verb to be, and to be is used to describe a state, who you were, where you were, how you were feeling, what something was like.
So the rule is actually really simple. Was goes with singular subjects, I, he, she, it, and were goes with plural subjects, or you, even when you're talking to just one person.
Let's hear some examples.
I was tired yesterday. She was at work. It was a beautiful morning.
And on the other side, we were at the market. They were laughing. You were right about that.
Now, here's something interesting. A lot of learners get confused with you because in the present tense, we say you are, which feels plural even when we're talking about one person.
Exactly. And that pattern continues into the past. You always takes were, whether you're speaking to one person or a group. You were amazing at the meeting. That could be to one colleague or the whole team.
Good point. Now, one common mistake, some learners say things like I were happy or she were busy. That mixing happens especially when people learn were from songs or informal speech, where native speakers sometimes bend the grammar for style. But in standard, correct English, remember, I, he, she, it always was. We, you, they always were.
That's the core rule, and it barely has exceptions. Once that clicks, was and were stop being scary.
Now, let's go a little deeper. When exactly do we reach for was or were in a sentence?
Great question. We use them in three main situations. First, describing a state or condition in the past. The weather was cold. The food was delicious.
Second, describing where someone or something was located. I was at the station. They were in the garden.
And third, and this is a big one, forming the past continuous tense, which describes an action that was in progress at a certain moment. I was cooking when you called. They were watching a movie last night.
That third use is important because it shows action happening around a moment in time, not action that's finished cleanly. It gives a scene, almost like a picture.
Right. Think of it like painting a background. I was walking down the street, and then something else happens in that scene. I was walking down the street when I saw an old friend.
That's such a natural way English speakers tell stories. We set the scene with was or were, and then we drop in the main action.
Let's practice that structure together. Anna, give me one.
Sure, I was reading a book when the power went out.
Nice. Here's mine. We were driving home when it started raining.
See how natural that feels? That's exactly the rhythm native speakers use every day, without even thinking about it.
All right, now let's shift to the other big player in today's episode, did.
Did is different from was and were because it's not describing a state, it's about action. Did is the past form of do, and it's mostly used as a helping verb to form questions and negative sentences in the simple past tense.
Right. And this is where a lot of learners get tangled up because did doesn't change based on the subject. It's the same word no matter who you're talking about.
Exactly. Did for I, you, he, she, it, we, they. All the same, no changes. That actually makes it easier than was and were once you get used to it.
Let's hear some examples. Did you sleep well? Did she call you back? Did they finish the project?
And here's the part people often forget. After did, the main verb goes back to its base form, not the past form.
Yes, this is probably single most mistake learners make with did. They say, did you went to the party? Instead of, did you go to the party?
Because did is already carrying the past tense for the whole sentence. The main verb doesn't need to change again. It's like the sentence would be double past, and English doesn't work that way.
Let's compare. Wrong, did she went home? Correct, did she go home? Wrong, did he ate lunch? Correct, did he eat lunch?
That one rule alone will clean up so many sentences. Once did appears, every other verb in that sentence stays in its simple base form.
It really is one of those small rules that makes a huge difference once you notice it.
Now, did isn't just for questions. It also shows up in negative sentences paired with not, or the contraction didn't.
Right. I didn't go to the gym yesterday. She didn't call me back. We didn't see that movie.
And just like with questions, the main verb after didn't stays in its base form. I didn't went is incorrect. It should be I didn't go.
This is such a common slip, especially for learners whose first language doesn't separate the helper and the action the way English does.
Right. In many languages, you just change the ending of one verb to show negative past. But in English, didn't does that job completely on its own, so the main verb doesn't need any extra marking.
Let's do a quick back and forth to practice this. I'll say something wrong, and Anna, you fix it.
Okay, go for it.
She didn't eat breakfast.
She didn't eat breakfast.
We didn't watched the news.
We didn't watch the news.
They didn't finish on time.
They didn't finish on time. See, once you say it enough times, your mouth just starts to know the pattern, even before your brain fully catches up.
That's really the secret with grammar. Repetition builds instinct. You don't need to memorize the rule forever. You just need to practice it until it feels automatic.
Okay, now let's put these two side by side, because this is where most confusion happens.
Right. The core difference is this. Was and were describe a state, what something was like, or an action in progress. Did is used for a completed action in a question or negative sentence.
So if you're asking about a state, condition, or location, use was or were. Was the movie good? Were you at home?
But if you're asking about an action someone completed, use did. Did you watch the movie? Did you clean the house?
Here's a simple trick. Ask yourself, am I asking what something was, or am I asking what someone did? If it's a description, go with was, were. If it's an action, go with did.
Let's test that. Blank, you happy. What goes there?
Were, because happy is a state, a feeling. Were you happy?
Good. Now, blank, you finish your homework.
Did, because finish is an action. Did you finish your homework?
Perfect. And one more. Blank, the weather nice yesterday.
Was, because we're describing the weather, a state. Was the weather nice yesterday?
This little test, state versus action, will solve about 90% of the confusion between these words.
I love that. It's such a simple filter, but it really works in real-time conversation.
Let's talk honestly now about the mistakes we hear most often, because recognizing your own patterns is the fastest way to fix them.
Mistake number 1, using was, were, and the past tense verb together, like I was went to the store. That's mixing two past forms when you only need one.
Correct version, either I went to the store or I was going to the store, depending on what you actually mean.
Mistake number 2, forgetting to change the verb back to base form after did. Did you saw him should be did you see him.
Mistake number 3, using was with plural subjects. They was late should be they were late.
Mistake number 4, using were with singular subjects other than you. He were tired should be he was tired.
And mistake number 5, which is more subtle, overusing did in questions when a simple was-were question would sound more natural. For example, saying, did you feel happy when were you happy sounds smoother and more direct.
That's a great point. Sometimes both are technically correct, but one just sounds more natural to a native speaker's ear. That comes with exposure and practice, which is exactly why we're doing these episodes.
The good news is once you're aware of these 5 patterns, you'll start hearing them in your own speech, and you can correct yourself in real time.
And that self-correction, that self-awareness, is actually a huge sign of progress. It means your brain is starting to build the real grammar instinct, not just memorized rules.
All right, time for our vocabulary spotlight. Every episode, we pick a few useful words or phrases connected to today's topic, and we show you how to use them naturally.
Our first word today is recall. It means to remember something. Example, I can't recall exactly what happened, but I was definitely surprised.
Nice. That's a slightly more formal way to say remember, and it works really well in storytelling.
Next up, used to. This phrase describes a repeated past action or state that isn't true anymore. I used to be shy, but now I speak confidently.
That's such a useful structure for talking about change over time. Our next word is eventually, meaning after some time or in the end. We were lost for an hour, but eventually we found the hotel.
And finally, in the middle of, a phrase we use to describe something happening when another action occurred. I was in the middle of dinner when the phone rang.
These 4 expressions, recall, used to, eventually, and in the middle of, pair beautifully with was, were, and did because they help you build fuller, richer past tense stories, not just short sentences.
Try using one of them today. Even one sentence spoken out loud will help it stick in your memory far better than just reading it silently.
Time for our grammar tip of the day, the one thing we want you to remember even if you forget everything else from this episode.
Here it is. After did, the main verb always stays in its base form. Always. No exceptions. If you remember only one rule from today, remember this one, because it fixes the most common mistake learners make.
Let's turn it into a quick memory trick. Think of did like a key that already unlocked the past tense door for the whole sentence. Once that door is open, the verb doesn't need its own key anymore. It just walks through in its plain base form.
I love that image. Did opens the door, the verb just walks through simply. Did you go, not did you went. Did she call, not did she called.
Say that out loud a few times right now, wherever you're listening from. Did you go? Did she call? Did they finish? Feel how smooth that rhythm is.
That physical repetition, speaking it out loud, is honestly one of the fastest ways to make grammar automatic. Reading silently helps you understand, but speaking helps you own it.
Now it's time for our favorite part of the episode, a real-life story inspired. Today, we're talking about someone we'll call Marcus.
Marcus had been learning English for almost 2 years, mostly through apps and grammar books. He understood the rules on paper perfectly. He could fill in worksheets, choose the correct answer in multiple choice tests, no problem.
But the moment he had to speak in a real conversation with a coworker, a stranger, anyone, his mind would freeze. He told a friend once, I know the grammar, but when I open my mouth, everything disappears.
One day, in a work meeting, someone asked him, did you finish the report? Marcus caught the mistake immediately in his head. It should be, did you finish the report? But he felt embarrassed to correct anyone, and honestly, he made similar mistakes himself all the time.
That night, he sat down and made a decision. Instead of studying more grammar books, he decided to practice speaking out loud every single day, even if it was just to himself in his room for 10 minutes.
He picked one small pattern each day. One day, just was and were sentences about his day. The next day, just did questions about his weekend plans. He wasn't trying to learn everything at once, just one small piece repeated until it felt natural.
Slowly, something changed. He noticed he wasn't translating in his head anymore. When someone asked him a question, the right word, was, were, or did, just appeared without him searching for it.
A few months later, in another meeting, a colleague asked him a question, and Marcus answered smoothly, naturally, without even thinking about the grammar. And in that moment, he realized he wasn't performing English anymore. He was just speaking it.
That's the real transformation we all hope for. Not perfect grammar on paper, but comfortable, natural conversation in real life.
And it started with something so small. 10 minutes a day, one pattern at a time, spoken out loud. That's genuinely something anyone listening right now can start today.
Marcus's story reminds us that fluency isn't about knowing every rule. It's about practicing the right patterns until they become instinct.
Let's give our listeners some concrete, practical tips they can use starting today.
Tip 1. Practice the state versus action filter we talked about earlier. Before you speak, quickly ask yourself, am I describing something or am I talking about an action someone did?
Tip 2. Say sentences out loud, not just in your head. Your mouth needs practice forming these words just as much as your brain needs to understand the rule.
Tip 3. Record yourself talking about your day for 1 minute, using was, were, and did. Then listen back and check your sentences. This feels a little uncomfortable at first, but it's incredibly effective.
Tip 4. Whenever you catch yourself making a mistake, don't get frustrated. Just quietly correct it in your head and move on. That correction moment is actually training your brain, even if it feels small.
Tip 5. Use storytelling. Instead of single sentences, try telling a short story about your morning using a mix of was, were, and did. I was getting ready for work when my phone rang. It was my friend. She asked if I did my grocery shopping yet.
That's such a great example because it shows how naturally these words work together in real storytelling, not just isolated grammar exercises.
And tip 6, maybe the most important one, be patient with yourself. Every fluent speaker in every language went through this exact same confusing stage. Mistakes are not a sign of failure. They're a sign that you're actually trying, actively building the skill.
So true. Confidence in speaking comes from repetition, not perfection.
Now, here's your listener challenge for this episode.
We want you to write, or better, say out loud, 5 sentences about your day yesterday, 2 sentences using was or were, and 3 sentences using did in either question or negative form.
For example, I was tired in the morning. It was raining outside. Did you go to work? I didn't eat breakfast. Did you call your friend?
Try building your own version, in your own words, about your actual day. Say it out loud, even if no one's listening. That small act of speaking builds real muscle memory.
And if you want, share your sentences in the comments below this episode. We genuinely read them, and it helps us know what to cover in future episodes too.
This challenge takes less than 5 minutes, but the impact on your speaking confidence can be huge if you do it consistently.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Let's do a quick recap.
We learned that was and were describe states, feelings, locations, and actions in progress, while did is used for completed actions, mainly in questions and negative sentences.
We learned the golden rule. After did, the main verb always returns to its base form. No extra past tense needed.
We learned the simple filter, state or description, use was were, action, use did.
And we heard Marcus's story, a reminder that real fluency comes from daily practice, not perfect memorization.
If today's episode helped you even a little, please consider subscribing to the City of English. We publish new episodes regularly, each one focused on a real, practical piece of the English language.
And if you have a topic you're struggling with, a specific grammar point, a phrase, anything, leave it in the comments. We genuinely build future episodes around what our listeners need most.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. Keep practicing, keep speaking out loud, and remember, every fluent speaker